Okie doke.
How goes it?
Just crazy and busy. How about you?
Oh, yeah. You know exactly. It's exactly the same thing with this fucking thinning hair problem. I don't know. It's some nasty shit. That's what
Well,
happens
it's,
with,
um, you kind of get used to it. I haven't actually shaved my head in about 3 or 4 days. I've been a recluse and I've got wild strands of beard coming out.
hmm
Guess I had to button up so nobody sees my cleavage. Oh, I don't have cleavage.
Damn, I'm sorry. I just can't look at myself right now. It's something to get used to. It really is.
You can always get like a helmet or a wig,
Mm,
or if now here's something to think about. Just accept it. But like when you do these things,
hmm
stand on your head and just reverse everything, make it upside down, do your show on your head. Nobody
hmm
can see if you have hair or not.
This is true.
And how many other hosts stand on their head?
Fucking, I don't really know anybody that can do that.
Three. Three is the answer. I know
Oh,
three.
is that you? Are we counting you as one of them?
Well, that would be four.
No, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Hey, so I was looking at, I want to try one of these meal delivery services, from online, like Every Plate or
Oh, Blue
HelloFresh.
Apron.
Okay, so have you done that?
I done the Blue Apron. That shit's
You like it?
good. Yeah. A little pricey, but it is fantastic, actually.
And so is everything all prepared and all you do is like heat it up?
You
Or do
just
you have to,
open the box and it's like everything's all individually packaged, fresh everything. If it requires half an apple, there's a fucking apple in there.
and
If
just a
it
half?
maybe,
Yeah,
nah, I don't know. I think the oxidation will actually dry that fucker
yeah.
out. Yeah, no, but it has everything in there, like where you just rip it apart, throw it, toss everything away, and it's good to go.
Wow,
And
that's
it's
pretty good.
always something different every week. It's nothing repetitive.
And you don't have to tell them what to send. I mean, they send based on some,
Recipe.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Everything's
pretty
all
cool.
by the. It's
And
all
do you have to wear
measured.
a blue apron when you prepare and or eat it?
You can if you want to go the extra mile and make
Right?
it more little.
Authentic?
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
try that.
No, so I was looking into my hair issue and I noticed it was from all the fucking vaping that I was doing.
Mm,
So I looked into it and dug, and then there's been so much research that, well, they said there's no connection, but there's been a ton of reports from people saying that there's hair loss that's connected with vaping, being lethargic, this nasty dried out feeling in their mouth, just a lot of shit that I can relate to. And so I just stopped just completely. Uh,
well, I have read that there are mixed schools of thought relative to some of the things, uh, not necessarily positive things that are byproducts of vaping. But I would think if you vaped CBD in combination with THC, that you got some healthful benefits there, and that should offset any negative benefits. And you'd
are
feel,
you a hippie, Larry?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
from way back when.
Yeah. I feel like you're high right now. Are you fucking high, Larry?
No, no, not yet, not yet. I'm still trying to recover from last night.
Yeah. What
Debate,
happened last night?
yeah, the debate,
Oh,
big
nobody,
debate.
God, nobody cares about that garbage.
Well, and it's a shame that they don't. You know, it's a shame that they don't. But those who didn't watch it, I'm sure are in far better situation than those of us that actually watched perhaps one of the largest debacles in contemporary history.
Go on. Tell the audience what you taken away from this tobacco.
Uh, that our country is in a really precarious position with no leadership, uh, and nobody really cares. The debate, everybody knew that the debate was not going to change any voters' minds. I mean, those who support 45 regardless of the debate, are going to support 45. Those who don't support 45 will vote for Biden or write in a candidate or anything. The people that haven't made up their mind yet still haven't made up their mind yet. But if those people who watched 45's performance last night and his total disrespect for the whole concept of debate, in the way he just talked over Chris Wallace, certainly if I was Biden, I would say, I'm not going to do a second debate with this fucking maniac. Unless the moderator has the ability to turn his microphone off. Trump never stopped talking. Excuse me for saying that name in vain. 45 never stopped talking.
I'll be sure to edit that out.
It just, please do. It was, and here's, regardless of your political stance, regardless of who you support and who you don't, the rest of the world that watched the president speak and like he did last night, I have to tell you, there is no country except maybe North Korea that has any respect for the United States at all. It was disgusting, to say the least. Anyway, enough about that.
What is interesting is the fact that I am not surprised by the behavior that you're telling me. So how did that become the norm in the first place?
That's a good question. How 30-40% of our population could feel that fat, orange, reality television star could be a leader, and a leader for the working guy when this guy's never worked a day in his life. His dad gave him millions to start a business with. His businesses, 6 different occasions of his incredible business acumen, he had to file bankruptcy for 6 of his businesses. In the year 2016 and 2017, he paid a total of $1,500 of federal income tax. Okay, $750 in 2016, $750 in 2017. Yes, everybody takes advantage of the tax code, but when he stands there and tells the working people, the people that probably are going to get evicted from their homes next month because of the pandemic, that he thinks China sent us the plague and he has no responsibility. He has no responsibility for the plague. He has 100% responsibility for how he has led the country through the plague, or the China flu, or the Kung flu, as he calls it. I am just baffled by people of reasonable intelligence that think he brings anything to the table. He's brought nothing to the table. He's just made a mockery of our democracy.
So, Larry, can I ask you this? I'm sure this probably never even came across your mind because it might just come off as just benign. But do you think you're jealous of 45? Do you wish you were in his place?
No.
That he could get away with so much?
No. Not at all. Not in a New York Minute. He's the most disgusting human being that I think I've ever known of. I fortunately don't know the man. I just know of him, obviously, as those that don't know him know of him. But when our highest military leaders, speak of the man as they speak of the man and have to resign because they can't put up with his bullshit, because he won't listen to the generals, he won't listen to the scientists. He listens to himself because he's the smartest guy around. Yes. He's the richest guy around. He's the most successful guy around, according to him, and 30 or 40% of the American population.
But it's definitely interesting is that outlook that he has. Look at where it got him.
I'm sorry.
The outlook that 45 has from where he was at to where he is now. I mean, fucking president of the United States.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, that perception definitely got him somewhere.
well, I think there's a couple things that got him to where he was. I mean, not got him to where he was, but got him elected. One, the traditional Republicans, they wanted to overturn Roe versus Wade, and they want to make sure that they can end the Affordable Health Care Act. So in order to do that, they need to put forth somebody that can get elected, somebody that's totally different than them, than the old political shit. And knowing that he'll have at least one, if not three, Supreme Court justice appointees during 4 to 8 years in office. So they knew he was so different that 30 to 40% of the imbeciles in the United States, and I at this point I have to call them imbeciles, because no person that has a higher critical thinking process than an imbecile would vote for him this term. They may have voted for him last term, but not this term. Not actually really seeing how he is as a president. He's more despicable as a president than he was as a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So the short answer, I think, is the Republicans needed somebody that was so different, so obtuse to the political neighborhood and political protocol, and just basic respect of your fellow human, that it would be a change. After 8 years of Obama, who Trump led the fight that Obama wasn't born in the United States before he was ever involved in politics. If you look at Trump's history, he's never done anything. I mean, his dad loaned him millions. He blew the millions. He made $400 and some odd million as the host on The Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
Yet from the years 2000, I want to say 12, I might be off a couple of years, through 2016, he paid no federal income taxes. In fact, he received a $73 million refund. Okay, because of his businesses failed so much. His businesses didn't make money. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got a refund. His businesses continued to lose money year after year after year. How much in federal income tax, and you don't have to answer this, but how much in federal income tax do you remember paying in the last 5 years, just an average? And I will tell you, more than likely, it's more than $750.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just guessing. It doesn't matter. I'm just guessing, because fucking teachers that bust their ass and make $32,000 or whatever the fuck they make,
mm-hmm.
They pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in federal income taxes. Warren Buffett pays a lot in federal income tax, proportionally, not like he should, and he's admitted that us billionaires, we don't pay our fair share. But nobody pays as little as 45. And he's working for the working guy. He loves law enforcement. He loves the military, really, but he won't spend any money to support him, any money out of his own pocket, because he's smart by paying as little income tax as possible. And that may or may not be correct, but as leader of the country, to say, yes, take advantage of every law, minimize the amount of income taxes you pay, and let's see how strong the federal government really is. Let's see how much money's left over to pay military or pay for law enforcement or to pay for public education. Where does he think that money comes from? Does he think China pays it in the way of tariffs? Because he believes China pays tariffs on his crazy fucking trade deal.
Okay, let's zoom out real quick. First off, I got some questions. Roe versus Wade. What the fuck is that? And you're telling me 30 to 40% of these imbeciles that voted for him. I mean, we might be looking at a higher percentage from what you're telling me. And then three, where is this money going? I mean, is there a bigger picture that you didn't look at because you're letting your emotions from his past experiences affect you? The way I see somebody is, what are they doing now? Is he taking this money and is he applying it to this huge fucking debt that we have?
He's created the largest deficit in the history of our country. So I'm guessing the answer to that question is no. Secondly, what I'll tell you is I don't look at his past. I don't need to look at what he's doing today. Last night, when asked specifically by Chris Wallace, will you condemn white supremacy? He asked him 3 times, and he refused to do it.
Oh my
So
God.
if he's in favor of white supremacy, you know,
Yeah.
it wipes out any good, which he hasn't done any good. He thinks he created the strongest economy ever. Well, first of all, he inherited that strong climbing economy. Secondly, you and I, well, I don't know about you, but the working guy doesn't really give a shit about the stock market. It doesn't pay his grocery bill
No.
or his rent. And if he has a 401k, it's meaningless in the scope of things. He has no control over the stock market.
Mhm.
Only institutional investors do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your first question was, I forgot because I didn't address that. And that was a very good question.
Roe versus Wade.
Roe versus Wade. So many, many years ago, there was a lady that wanted to have an abortion and found out, you know, it was against the law. And so the short wrap up is Roe versus Wade enabled pro-choice throughout the country. For the Supreme Court said, yeah, let's see, the womb is inside the woman's body and the embryo's inside of the woman's womb. Who should really have the choice what to do with it within certain parameters? Within, like during the first trimester of the pregnancy, it's okay to have an abortion if this, and this takes place. Okay. So the conservative Republicans feel that a woman should not have governance over her own body, like you and I do. Okay. We can do anything we want with our bodies.
Yes.
Women can't if Roe versus Wade is overturned.
And that's what they're trying to do.
Sure, abortion's a huge issue. That's the only reason I believe the evangelicals support Trump, is because they're pro-life.
What the fuck? Evangelicals? Sounds like a cult.
It's a religious group. I'm not gonna.
It sure sounds like a cult, just even the name of it.
Well, I mean, that's for everybody to determine on their own. It's a group of Christians, you know, just like Protestants and Catholics and, you know.
Yeah, it's all cult-like stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's just yet another group. Some say perhaps radical. I don't necessarily. But they, you know, again, when you look at Trump, when you look at 45 and the things he says, like, you know, when he was caught on live mic in 2016 talking to some entertainment talk show host on the back of a bus and says, yeah, you know, when you're famous, you can do anything you want with these women. You can even grab them by their pussies. I mean, that's not me. That was his voice on. No, this is what is now the president of the United States said the year he was elected, or, you know, that his first campaign year, 2016. Yeah, well, that was the year I guess he was elected. Yes. You know, so when he talks like that, when he won't put down white supremacy, when he won't condemn white supremacy. I mean, how Christian-like is that? You know, how Christian-like is he? So how, the only way an evangelical or a person that believes in God, when he did that photo op, Greg, when he did that photo op,
Yeah.
in front of the St. John's Church in Washington, D.C., the Bible that he grabbed, he held upside down. He's never held a Bible in his hand other than put his hand on top of it when he was sworn into office. He was holding the Bible upside down.
Oh,
and one of the reporters
Jesus.
said, "Mr. President, is that your Bible?" And he looked at it and he goes, "It's a Bible." Of course it's not his Bible. First of all, he doesn't read. He just watches, television.
Is that opinion though or fact? Do you know for 100% he doesn't read?
Well,
There
I'm
are
sure.
children's books. I mean, there's multiple kind of books that
Yeah,
can.
he's not a reader. Let me put it that way. Most presidents of the United States, most leaders read a bunch of shit every day. He won't even read. He doesn't even read his daily briefing.
But do you think he read tax law? Because that's, I
No.
mean, what he
No.
did.
No, he paid somebody. He might have read a Yellow Page ad. I don't know if you know what Yellow Pages are.
Oh no, I definitely do.
Okay, so he found an attorney in the Yellow Pages, a shyster attorney that, would make sure he gets the most taxes, pays the least taxes. That's what he did. He's so bad of a businessman. How bad of a businessman is he, you ask? I know that's a question in the back of your head. He couldn't make a casino make money. How can a casino go bankrupt? He was probably skimming money every night. That's the only way. Oh my God, a second grader could make money in a casino, and he's a great businessman. Please. The greatest businessman ever. The art of the deal. Here, come to my university. I'll show you how to fuck people. That's what I do.
Well, I don't want to read any of that nonsense. Anything that's just attached to just biases.
No, that's
nasty
him.
Media attention. I just try to avoid that.
It's a fact, Greg. A fact is, bankruptcies are public notice.
Yes.
You can go see any bankruptcy you want. These are real. His Atlantic City casino, the Taj Mahal, went bankrupt. He bankrupted it. And so all the working guys that helped build and remodel that, the guys like you and me that send him an invoice and expect to get paid, when he got all those, he goes, fuck, I'm not going to pay these guys. I'm going to take advantage of the federal bankruptcy law and fuck them out of their money so I don't have to give up any of the money that I've skimmed and put in my pocket. Done it 6 times. Abraham Lincoln didn't do it 6 times. I think he only went bankrupt 3 times.
See, if you would have asked me, I would have said 5 because
could be 5.
A number, $5 bill.
But he never put himself up as a big businessman either.
No, but definitely a great leader with.
Definitely a great leader. But to put men like Abraham Lincoln in the same fucking universe as 45.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, what disservice it pays to those types of leaders.
Yes.
You
brought up some good points on just information that I'm not aware of about this said individual that we're going through. And it makes me want to share with our listeners here, as far as information that I have that can help you guys dox government individuals. I have over 50 different resources that you can apply, that you can track down and find out information that is open to the general public about a government figure. And I'm trying to locate that now in my notes, wherever I put it. You should see how many fucking folders on folders on folders of shit I have. It's outrageous and I love it. There you are. Boom. I'm pulling that up right now.
So that's going to be helpful for everybody.
Yes.
Yep.
Just I'm not leaning towards being pro or against with who we are talking about. honestly, I'm completely dissociative towards this experience right now about this individual, because the way society is gravitating towards it being acceptable, one, it's not acceptable on how we look at our political system and how things are going. It's just fucking unacceptable. But by me getting mad, what is that going to do about it? All I know is I have to control my outlook. And that's what we all need to be doing, is controlling that, not letting our emotions, because then that gives those individuals more power. We need to be focusing our attention on the smaller figures. When I say that, I mean the mayors, the chief of police, those people. We need to apply our efforts towards those people on who takes office at that level. And then if we put the right people at that level in, then it will start to climb with the people who's going to be in charge. But the
And that's an excellent point, and you are 100% correct. And again, I certainly, uh, uh, yeah, I'm emotional about it because after being on this planet for 70 years and, having lived through, I don't know,
Mhm.
7 or 8, 9 presidents,
Yes.
real leaders, even the ones I didn't like, it doesn't matter whether I like them or not. If you got a good leader, that doesn't mean everybody likes them. Nobody cares if you like them or not.
Mhm.
But again, like we had a discussion, I don't know, a few episodes ago about qualities of a leader.
Yes.
And, of the top 5 or 10 qualities of a leader, regardless of what source you use, 45 might hit 1 or 2, but that's it. So at best, maybe 20% of those,
Mhm.
5 or 10 qualities, characteristics of a leader. And especially if you compare what the military looks at as far as leadership to 45. I mean, it's despicable. It's despicable that our commander-in-chief lacks those leadership qualities that actually is the boss of the highest ranking military. He sits above them in the hierarchy. Yet he had a doctor fake his bone spurs so he could dodge the draft in Vietnam. And yet he calls POWs and McCain and people that lost their lives in serving their country losers. That's a fact. They've got him on tape saying those guys are losers. And of course, he said that during the election of 2016 relative to McCain. He was a loser because he was captured and spent, I think, 6 years as a POW in Vietnam
Mhm.
in a fucking bamboo cage. He's a leader or a loser, according to 45. That's the guy who is the boss of all the military. I mean, there's some real irony there.
Yes. You definitely found one of my soft spots, Larry. That's for sure.
No, well, and I'm not trying to. I'm just some of these facts I share with you are laced in my emotion. I
Mhm.
100%. They're laced in my bias 100%.
Yes.
But at the bottom are those facts, and you can't dispute them. I mean, they are what they are. How you perceive them and what they mean to you, that's all personal. I get that. But what you said is absolutely correct. Number one, we have to be involved at the local level, and
Mhm.
then that's how you build your coalitions all the way up to federal. But more important, or the foundation of that, is voting.
Yes.
Okay, I voted in person. In person absentee voting is what I did. So I went down to the election board and stood in line with many other people, so that I know my vote was cast and will be counted.
Well, how do we get, first off, how do we get a call to action to vote? Because right now, I don't want to, because I know that my vote's going to go to some fucking lender, and then he's going to make the decision. So I know my fucking vote don't even matter.
But it does. Every
Awesome.
vote matters, especially today, especially in this election. Every vote matters.
Explain it to me and then the other people that have a similar mindset to mine.
And I know there's many that have that mindset. And part of, keep in mind, part of that mindset has been created by 45. He doesn't want some of these undecided people to vote. All he needs is his 30 or 40%. You know, he didn't win the popular election last election, and regardless of what happens this time, he's not going to have any more of the popular election than he did last time. But his 30 to 40% of the population that actually voted for him happens to be strategically located in the right states relative to the electoral college. And that's ultimately who will determine who the president is. But that's why the grassroots end, that's where you can designate, vote for the people that are going to represent you in your locale, if you will, in the electoral college voting for the president. But also remember, when you're voting, when you talk about getting involved with your mayor and the police chief, the only way you can have any input there, if you don't run yourself, is to vote at the local elections. Mm-hmm. And then you'll want to support the states, and then you'll want to support ultimately what happens to the federal government. But that's what our democracy, what democracy in general, but certainly our democracy, is founded on, that we each get one vote, and we've been doing it 250 years. We're still not there. We still don't have perfection. We never will. I mean, that's the challenge of a democracy like ours. And there isn't another democracy like ours in the world. England is a parliamentary government, as is Japan, Germany, and France, and Canada.
Yes.
Okay. Their democracy is not built like ours is. There's not that 3 tiers of government. And the most critical part of any democracy, though, is each individual voting. That's the only way your voice can be heard. I mean, we can yell and scream at the top of our lungs on top of the Sears Tower, Empire State Building, or wherever.
But the problem, though, is that we see all these fucking commercials, media about this person is this way, that person's that way. What you told me about last night, it sounds like a shit show. And if that's what the media is playing, why the fuck do I care about who takes office? Because who is the bad individual? The person that's trying to make the person bad, or the person that's said to be bad? Because right now, I don't know what
people bad.
Yeah.
Bad people are bad.
So it's at this point, I don't know who to even look at, other than I just want to work on myself and not focus on these fucking individuals.
And that's the most important thing. I mean, our self-care, there's no question about it. But, once you start moving up Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
yes,
okay, and you get above shelter, and you get, above taking care of yourself, when you get to self-actualization,
that is beautifully well said. Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So you get up there, and that's all there is these esoteric things like our democracy, our country, taking care of your really, our job, I believe, as individuals, as human beings, because I am semi-spiritual, is to take care of our neighbor, take care of our brother, especially take care of those that can't take care of themselves. But first of all, we have to take care of ourselves first. Charity begins at home. A self-care begins with self. If you're not well, if you're not comfortable within yourself, you can't help anybody else. And when you look at 45, and if you were to wonder what narcissism is, well, just look at 45, so he's got severe issues with himself. He's a little inferior, scared individual. His father probably created that within him. So what he does is he comes out like a big fucking bully, and he dyes his skin orange and spent $70,000 on haircuts this term. $70,000 on haircuts. And you're worried about thinning hair? Talk to him. Use his hairdresser, because I'm sure the tax cut he got for you will enable you to afford a $70,000 hairstylist and a comb over like you can't believe. You know,
Shit. All right. This
it's
just
funny, isn't it? I mean, but here's the scary thing: it's real. I
yes.
mean, I didn't pull that $70,000 out of my ass. That's what he spent on hairdressers.
So Larry, so let's zoom out. Let's
Mhm.
rewind. Let's
Yeah.
go back to how can we help our listeners identify and get through all this marketing bullshit and learn who these people really are. I
It's
have 50 sources of information that's been provided from other sources, which I will link all these sources into the show notes. But I wanted to go over it and read them out with
yeah,
you and see what you think and what you
sure.
understand about each source. So the first source right here, I have the FOIA log. I'm going to assume Federal Office Institution Association. I don't know, but it's most government agencies keep a log of all their public records
Mhm.
requests. These logs are sometimes online, but usually have to be requested through the federal or state public records law. And I
Yeah.
have the what is this? I have the story of it. I have all this description, the information that you need, and links to get more information. The next one is record retention schedule. Most states and local governments have a document detailing how long they must hold on to documents. The document in turn provides a good window into all the different types of documents each agency produces. I have that. Next is a master list of forms. Want to know what the data, the info of the agency keeps? You follow this. It's with NASA, all their huge little hub of files. I have record layouts. It's data dictionary. What information is the agency's database? What does codes mean? Those should all be explained in documentation, which I have provided. I have manuals, policies, and guidelines. Oh, this will probably be really good for me to start learning. It's important to know how agencies collect information and what rules to follow. Figure that out. It's worth requesting the agency's manuals, which I provided that here. Rejected license plates. States keep a list of both the vanity and uh, license plates that approved and the ones that were rejected. I have that. Traffic parking tickets, lottery payments, animal control records, uh, roadkill and wildlife records. I have
Wow.
cell phone bills, text messages. This is interesting. In most states, text messages are public records when related to
A crime.
government businesses.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, these resources that you're listing that you've gathered together, where does I mean, is there a place where you make these available to your listeners? Because I mean, this is invaluable stuff.
Yes. Yes. I will put this on the show notes where
Okay.
everybody can get this. This was what collected information from other sources. So I will link those sources as well. It's going to be a bitch to put it together, but I will make it happen for everybody. I can keep going down the list. We have consumer complaint logs, 911 records, recordings, and transcripts, emails to government agencies, of course. They get,
And this is what Greg, what I believe, these resources that you're listing and discussing right now,
Mhm.
these are incredible resources. These are what you use to verify, confirm, or you can't verify if it's not verifiable
Mhm.
from what media says. If you want to follow up, is that fact or fiction? We already know all media is bias on one side or the other.
Yes.
There's I don't think today you'll find any media that doesn't have a bias. There are some, I mean, less than a handful of media that I'm aware of that tends to play as hard as they can, middle of the road, but
Mhm.
you still know who they're owned by or what their lean is. So even those sources are biased. So when you hear what seems like a fact, you have to verify it. And that's where everything goes uh, catawamp, if you will.
Mhm.
most people, unless you're a news junkie, won't take the time to verify anything that's said by their favorite media.
Yes.
And everybody has their favorite media because they listen to that most of the time, if not all the time, because their media reports shit like they like to hear it. It meets with their thoughts and their opinions.
And that is a problem
Yeah.
with people that do that, because you're only cherry picking information that supports your own mindset. And that means you have a flawed mindset. You
Yeah.
haven't developed self-awareness to challenge the information that's been given to you. And what you're referring to is paltering with information that's being presented in a way to persuade us. And that's based off the context and also the wording, the emphasis, the tonality, the delivery, and our own perceptions on what we hear versus what actually was actually said. I just said actually twice, now 3 times explaining it.
It's actually okay.
But I'm going to keep going down the list. I want to make sure I get them all out in the air so we have nothing. Where we go? We have meeting agenda packets for public meetings, browser history. We have calendars. Again, this is all for government figures, anything within government purchasing data and or vendors. Most states and agencies keep a list, multiple lists of the purchases that they make, and also a separate list of the approved vendors. Government contracts. We have payroll records, check registers, records of settlements, payments by government, employment roster of government employers, employment contracts, code enforcement violation, food inspection records, workplace safety records, capita record of children who died from, like, it doesn't even tell me. This is just a sad thing to read out there. We have discrimination, employment complaints, internal affairs, FBI files, police incident reports, dash cams, state licensing, school violence, testing irregularities and cheating, list of businesses that received aid, reports filed by companies, Warren reports. What was that? Okay. And it just keeps going. Military service, property, water bills, and aircraft and flight records.
Everything. There's a lot of information available to the public. And it really, if it's not available online, and much of it is, that's not available online, there's protocol on how you go about requesting and receiving it. And there are websites that will gather these documents and put them on their website. And they're actual copies of the documents that you would have to take time to go and mail and request. And these people just go ahead and publish it for you on their website. And again, if they're authoritative websites, they're going to have the actual copy of the document. They didn't doctor it up. Most people wouldn't dare do that. That would be a federal crime if it's a federal document, or a state crime if it was a state document. But the really about the news media and stuff, that's what's really important, is recognize people who just watch one news source. Here's, again, being a news junkie, I watch multiple news sources, from extreme right news bias like OAN to extreme left bias like maybe MSNBC, maybe CNN. CNN's really pretty much as bias left as Fox is bias right. But when you watch an identical, when you watch a show on CNN about a particular event and then watch it on Fox, you would think you're actually hearing news of 2 different events. That's how different it's reported. And that's why you can't just watch your favorite one that makes you feel really good. You got to go over to watch the other side to see what those people are learning and hearing and believing. And somewhere in between, the truth may lie, it may not. But generally, somewhere in between the left and the right is the center, or close to the center and close to fact.
I sure hope my microphone is not echoing. That was weird. Did you hear that echo through?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I just said yes, and then it just echoed like yes, yes. Like, oh, what the
Yeah, yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't hear anything. But
Okay.
when I'm on my rants, I can't hear much of anything.
Yeah, that's an old person thing,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, if I turn my ear.
Do you
Okay.
do you really? You got some hearing aids in there, Larry?
No, I just have wax.
And are you going to eventually get some?
Yeah. I, I've tried two that I don't like. And there's one other one I want to try. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep saying, what? What?
Yes.
Say what? What did you say? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you speak a little louder? You know,
I'm trying to picture you with your girlfriend, and when you guys are actually having sex, are you going to take out the hearing aids, or will you turn them up so you can hear what's actually going on when you guys are
no,
like?
she's a screamer. I have to take hearing aids out. You know, fortunately, we only have sex in my soundproof sound booth. Because I don't want neighbors like calling the police. God, there's something going on. I mean, the roof shakes, screams, weird animal like sounds. And that's all from me.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even hear what she does. But no, uh, yeah, I would keep if I had hearing aids, I would keep them in if they're all in the canal. Otherwise, they'd get torn off, you know, I guess. I don't know. Uh, Hopefully somebody will put me down before I get hearing aids, you know.
Oh my god, my face is fucking hurting. I haven't smiled like this in a while. This is definitely something I needed.
It's
Is
good to
to
smile every now and
is to
then.
make you an inferiority to the inferiority complex, something like that.
Yeah, I guess bless my parents. They raised me feeling confident and sure of myself, and part of that may have made me an asshole. I don't know. People have told me I'm an asshole, so I really do try to be kind. And in all due respect, in as large a way as I can, I even try to be kind to 45. But when he keeps slapping you down,
Mhm.
it's just really hard to, keep. Part of the Old Testament says you turn your other cheek. And then the other part of the Old Testament says, yeah, you better grab your staff and go protect yourself and your friends against the enemy. So I'm not sure which they want us to do, but when it comes to 45 and it comes to political stuff today, the best way, the only real way, unless you have tons of money, the only real way you can have any influence is to be involved from the grassroots level, like you said, start locally.
Mhm.
But it requires a vote ultimately. Like I said, unless you have a lot of money and just, you buy your influence, you have lobbyists that fight for your shit. You contribute massive amounts of money that get the people elected that you want elected. So if you don't have all that kind of money, the only other way you get a real voice is to vote. Because most of us can't even get an op-ed published anywhere because we're not celebrities.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it used to be when there were newspapers locally and people actually read newspapers that, the normal working Joe on the block, could send in an editorial letter to the Kansas City Star, St. Louis Dispatch, or, you
Mhm.
know, Tuscaloosa Gazette, whatever, and get their shit published. Now, of course, we have the internet, so we can all let our opinions be known. But the only opinion that really counts is when you go, I hate to say it, when you go to the polls and cast your vote. Ultimately, it's worked for 250 years. I'm not saying that's why it should work tomorrow, but if we don't vote, if we don't have the right to vote, do you want to live in a country like Russia, where you vote, but it doesn't matter? Guess who the president's going to be next election?
Mhm.
In an authoritative, dictatorial government,
You
you
said
know,
it's worked for 250 plus years. What has worked? Our system of voting?
Our democracy, yeah, which is
Mhm.
based on one vote, one man.
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like there's something more to do with the Electoral College as far as the system itself. I believe it's flawed. I don't.
Well, there's a lot of people that believe that way, and if so, you need to make your voice heard, and you start by working at the grassroots level and voting. You can
Yes.
vote. You can actually vote the Electoral College out. You
Oh,
can vote. You do get to vote for your electoral representatives.
mhm.
You know,
Interesting.
um,
I'm gonna link
so
that
you
in
have
the show
that going
notes.
for you. But again, if and a lot of people say, shouldn't we actually decide, not the Electoral College? Well, again, remember when the Electoral College was established, it was way before the internet, it was way before electricity, it was way before the Pony Express.
Mhm.
So when Abraham Lincoln was given a speech in Gettysburg, it'd take you 4 days to find out about it, in Dodge City, Kansas.
Mhm.
So there was just a group of people that kind of followed the campaign around, and were educated and could look at and analyze policy. And the people, the populace back then, voted for those Electoral College representatives, for lack of a better word, that that their job was to pay attention to what's going on. You guys voted for me to represent you in the Electoral College, and cast our votes based on what the people who elected me want me to do. So there's no more basic thing than a vote. And yes, it's an indirect way to elect the president. And we've seen time after time after time where the populace vote goes to the presidential candidate that got the popular vote but lost the electoral vote. That was not an anomaly, when Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Trump but lost the election. That's happened several times throughout our history. And that's part of the beauty of our democracy, you know.
Which is what exactly? I
Well,
completely zoned out.
well, again, as it exists today, that there is a tie between the popular vote and the electoral college, because in
Mhm.
most states we vote for those electoral representatives. So that's the tie. The and the fact that we have term limits, 4-year term limits. It's only twice as long as a congressman. They have 2-year limits. So the worst case scenario, 4 years, and you get a referendum. You might not get a new president, but you get a chance at saying, hey, you're out. Until our electoral college is changed, until those laws are changed, that's what we have to work with. And if we want them changed, then we need to start at the grassroots level, which does require voting and requires, putting together a movement of people that can get to your state and ultimately federal representatives that can force Mitch McConnell to put a bill forth that we're going to do away with the Electoral College. And that would take a constitutional amendment, which is very difficult to do. We've only, I think, had 27 in 250 years.
So what about this? How do we, because right now the mission is to appeal to all the voters out there. How do we see what I'm thinking is there a way where we can just demask this fucking hard left, hard right, whatever these stupid fucking names of these people that we're referring to, these groups? How do we just go down to the very core of each individual and get them to stop looking at everything as a stereotype and start to look at everybody in a humanistic way? How do we get that, and how do we get that to be the benefit for everyone rather than going after whatever the fuck we're going about right now? How do we establish that?
That's the big circle, because again, unity. Our country was so divided 4 years ago. I mean, it's even worse now. But 4 years ago, we needed a leader that could unify the country. From day one, 45. Hate to keep coming back, but I mean, a fact is fact. If you listen historically to the way 45 has discussed things, he's never tried, because he knows he can't change the people that don't like him. But he's never even attempted to say, hey, you may not like me, you may not like the people that support me, but we got to work together. We got to work together to get through this thing. He's divided, because from his day one, he said they, the Democrats. The whole thing that's so terrible about the pandemic are run by Democrat governors and Democrat mayors. Well, one of the reasons is because that's where all the population, the biggest portion of our populations are centered in California, New York, Texas, Florida, Illinois, Georgia. Yeah, well, and people are smart, so they elect smart leaders. Readers that do read, readers that don't watch Hannity, leaders that don't watch Hannity. They actually get their news from their briefings from their people every day. People, civil servants that are, everybody has bias, but civil servants know how to put their bias at the doorstep when they check into the office. A police officer that's biased against a race, a good one, knows how to put his bias in his pocket, so he's not going to let that affect his split-second decisions in firing 7 shots into the back of somebody just because they're the race he doesn't like. That's what a good cop does. That's what a good leader does, is unify, learn to put their bias aside in order so that they can do their job. Every judge in this country is supposed to be fair and impartial, but every judge in this country has bias. What they do, the good judges, put their bias in their pocket when they walk up on the bench.
So this is a huge thing that you brought up that I'm curious about, just to get your opinion and to spread it across our listeners, is the fact with law enforcement and what they're facing today, what do you think could solve today's issue with how we perceive law enforcement right now?
Accountability.
Accountability.
Accountability, because if we look at the cases we know about where alleged police brutality or excessive force may have been used, the problem is it's like so much in this country, Greg, in that lawyers can work and negotiate with lawyers because they're all in the same club. Police officers work with and negotiate with police officers because they're in the same club. We all know that if a police officer is going 45 and a 35 and gets pulled over by a police officer, and that police officer that was speeding was off duty, and when the officer approaches and says, hey, can I have your driver's license and insurance? And the dude pulls out those things and also his little badge. He goes, oh, fuck, you're, on, precinct 13. Yeah, I know. So, yeah, hey, listen, you were going a little fast. Go on. We'll see you later. If it happens to you or me, we don't get that. We're not in that club.
Yes, that is exactly right. However, I mean, I've done 4 ride-alongs in different parts of the U.S., in Colorado Springs, in Texas, in Missouri, in Kansas, and I've asked different police officers that question. And Colorado, yes. Texas, yes. Kansas, no. They will fucking write you a ticket. They don't matter because you set the example. So I believe that is just a stereotype in itself to think that that's what we think. And then the problem is that if we think that and it gets shared out there, then now we're altering what is already being perceived. And now when police officers hear that, well, fuck, now I have to write all my buddies a tickets. Because if we were to look at
shouldn't they?
If we were to
shouldn't you write them a ticket if they broke the law?
This is true. Yes, this is very true. But then why is he running home? What if he has to get home to his wife or his stepdaughter, or somehow he needs to be home and there's some bullshit that's going on that he just can't seem to handle?
Yeah, it's no bullshit. And again, every officer doesn't do it every time. I agree with that. But my point is, getting back to the accountability.
Yes.
The police investigate police differently than they investigate citizens that aren't police. It's just, that's a fact,
Yes.
you know. I
Because
mean, we know it.
they already been investigated.
No, they haven't. Not
Well,
for that particular issue.
prior, because I've applied through a couple of law enforcement positions, was the reason why. And you have to go through so many different levels of background investigation.
What I'm talking about is when you're charged with a crime as a police officer,
Mhm.
okay, that investigation of your alleged crime is conducted much differently than if you were a Joe Blow citizen.
That's
First of
because
all,
they're
the
the in
police,
group
first
and
of
the
all,
out
the
group.
police have a union, and their union steward represents
Mm-hmm.
them. And there's certain protocols that police operate differently than citizens, and rightfully so in certain circumstances. All I'm saying is, when you ask me the question, my opinion is that the biggest missing ingredient
Mm-hmm.
is accountability.
Yes.
Because again, if you were suspected of firing 7 shots into your neighbor's back and causing them either death or severe injury,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you would immediately be taken into custody and charged within 24 hours.
Yes.
You can't be held in custody in most states more than 48 hours, many states only 24. So they must charge you within 24 hours and give you bail.
So, but I'm still caught
let
up in
me
this.
finish the thought here, because this is
Sure.
really important.
Sure.
So at that point, you as a citizen, I as a citizen, when we fire our 7 shots into our neighbor, because what doesn't matter why, even if it's in self-defense and 85 people saw it, we're going to be immediately taken into custody and have to see a magistrate in 24 to 48 hours. Why doesn't that happen with police officers? It hasn't. I mean, it doesn't. It's
Yes.
fact. You know,
So the
prosecutors say, well, I'm not going to charge the officer in this situation because I haven't looked at all the facts. Well, they charged my neighbor for shooting me 7 times in the back without looking at all the facts. And then that's what the actual trial in maybe a grand jury takes that charge and determines if there was probable cause. And then what they do is issue an indictment. And then the criminal process starts. Not
There's
with
too
police
many
officers.
petty laws.
Pardon me?
There's too many petty laws
Oh, I agree.
to
But
define what's self-defense, what's not, and what's actually
not equal
criminal.
justice. That's what all this rigmarole is about, you know,
And-
with the peaceful protests and the violent protests.
Well, I think I've been talking about this with another individual, and it comes down to we need to remove a shit ton of laws that are actually in play.
I don't know if we do or not, or if we need to make new ones, you know.
Adapt to the environment, I would say, as far as, of course, what we're looking into is what's been founded by our forefathers. But with today, context and perception is the new problem. And I believe it's just, we need a straightforward answer. Yes or no. Don't touch it or touch it. If it's yours, it's yours. If it's not yours, fuck off. And then
That's the problem.
and out group with the law enforcement, I can understand the passion of why they aren't being held accountable because you were treated this way and they were treated that way. But if you were in their shoes, would you be the same way, or would you want to be held at the most accountable level for your actions?
It's a great question. So I have to answer it in this way. Number one,
Sure.
if you're operating under your oath as a law enforcement agency, agent, if you will, if you operate under that oath that you take to preserve and protect and obey all the laws and do this impartially, if you operate under that way and you get yourself in a situation where you fire your pistol, and I think every jurisdiction says when there's a police involved shooting, they must investigate. Okay. But what they don't do and what they are not required to do is equal justice as if you were a citizen. Okay. There's no swift justice when police officers are involved. Now, do I want them to have full range of thinking about what to do in a split second that can affect lives and destroy property or life?
Mhm.
Absolutely. They should always operate based on their training, experience, awareness, and what's going on in this situation, and react as they would anytime. And if the way they reacted caused death or injury to the suspect, if you will, or an innocent bystander, they must be investigated like any other person to determine if in fact they acted within the scope of their, their law enforcement oath, if you will. And if they did, great. But you can't sit there. It took them 9 months to really take a look at what happened with, for example, Breonna Taylor. No charges happened except with one guy after 9 months. But if it were you or me that walked in somebody's apartment for no reason and killed him, we would immediately be jailed, would immediately be charged, and within a short period of time be indicted and then tried. It took 9 months to charge one guy. And that's because there is different ways we investigate law enforcement people, because they're in the club. They're in the club with the prosecutor. They're in the club with other officers. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that. And I wouldn't want the police officers to feel that they're muzzled or restricted in any way. The good police officers make good decisions every day. The guys that act not as they should, and it happens very, very infrequently. But when it does, it's a big deal. And when it does, that we hear about that. We don't hear about all the good decisions law officers make, law enforcement people make. We just hear about the bad ones.
Of course.
That's
we don't take that into consideration why they're actually called to the scene. It's not to get congratulated for their great work. It's to actually get called in to deal with an issue.
But a lot of times not issues that are law issues. It could be a domestic issue.
That is very true.
Okay. That's why
you're telling me, as far as the issue at hand, I came down to 3 different solutions, just 3 answers to make one solution from this big problem. It's their oath. I know as a sergeant in the military, I had to rehearse a creed. I had to have it forwards, backwards, 2 pages. And I can still do it to this day. And that's what makes my mindset relevant as I apply that. And their training, it shows that they have fantastic weapons training, maybe not. But what about their humanistic training, their humanistic skills, social psychology, sociology, and then different ways? What does that different means? Oops. Oh, so within the law itself and how we treat them differently than how we treat civilians is the fact that there's loopholes in the system that they know because that's what they do.
They're in the club.
That means that we need to adapt and remove shit that's doesn't need to be there anymore.
And do that at the grass level, which requires ultimately
voting,
pulling the lever at the ballot box.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we change. That's how in this country, right, wrong, or indifferent, and until it's changed, that's how we create change. That in civil disobedience, not violence, protests, peaceful protests, free speech, free elections. These are the ways that our country is different than every other country in the world. And as much as you hear me whine and complain about shit that's wrong and needs to be fixed,
yes,
I don't have solutions, but I'll tell you one thing for sure. There's not another country in the world I'd want to live in. We're one of, if not the only, I believe we're the only country that the system of jurisprudence is based on you are innocent until proved guilty. I mean, in England and Canada and France and Germany, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. You want to live over there? No. If I'm accused of something, I want to make sure I have every possibility for you to have to prove me guilty.
Shit, I'll tell you what, our fucking podcast is over there. What you just said, we're in fucking France, Germany, Britain. We're all over the motherfucker. I love it.
And we're recruiting people to come live here because they hear, wow, you guys really? We want to live there, especially if you get rid of the orange dude. You know, we'll be there in New York second. You know, but anyway,
Let's get rid of the orange dude.
yeah, you know, the big orange baby that sits in the people's White House.
Oh my goodness.
That orange baby.
Right now, your transformation station is global. We are reaching 30 different entities right now.
It's awesome. Great work. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Shit, why is this fucking echoing? It's doing it again. But no, I really enjoyed today, Larry. I really did.
Hey, it was, excuse me, as usual.
Yeah.
It was insightful. I love some of the questions and insight you have and how you can reduce this verbose dude down to the essentials. You know, that takes a lot of skill. Very few people can do that. So kudos to you.
Are you blushing right now? It looks like you're blushing.
Am I? I don't know. When I
You-
blush, people say, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
Does it really look like I'm blushing?
Yeah, you're definitely blushing. And then what you're trying to do is to act like you're not by analyzing it. But
Yeah.
the
I want
reality
to
is,
see. I want to see what, you know, when I feel like I'm blushing, am I blushing? And then sometimes do I blush, but I don't feel that I'm blushing.
yes.
You know,
See, and I would do that too by trying to almost question my own insight by saying this and then saying I'm going to do it this way. But the reality is that you are.
the reality is I think, therefore I am.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm going to sign off here and get back to some stuff I got to get done today.
Yes.
But I look forward to talking next week, I guess.
Yes, most definitely. And I will let you know when this gets released. And also I have another episode that I have yet to release. We had a 2-hour session that
That's right.
I haven't gotten out yet. And I actually been working on that. And also, did you get to hear the recording that I sent you?
No, I tried, but you have to give me permission. I requested access to that
Okay.
file.
Awesome.
So I guess it's in an email or your G Drive or wherever I requested that from.
Yes, I believe I did release that right before
Okay,
before you called.
excellent.
Let me know. The reason why is because that is an interview I had, and her intentions, I was trying to do it more as a just like a humanistic, as far as giving some publicity to a young author that's trying to establish herself. However, what I was going through the interview, I'm trying to find out is if she has pure intentions or negative intentions. And I go a little hardcore on her a little bit as far as going into it. And I want to make sure that it doesn't bite me in the ass by sending another message when
I
it's
gotcha.
my intention.
Yeah, I'll be happy to listen to it. And I'll give you my humble opinion, whatever
Awesome.
that's worth.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I tell people, I'll always give you my 2 cents, and it's worth about that.
Yeah.
2 cents. Anyway,
Okay, Larry.
I will.
And get your son to fucking write us a review. We need these reviews. We're climbing the ranks. Like just the
do that.
past 2 days, we had over 600 downloads.
Wow. Cool. Excellent. Great
Yeah.
job.
Fuck yeah,
Keep it up.
we will.
All right, man.
Alrighty. You take
Talk
care.
to you later.